hello everyone, hello. I hope everyone's gearing up for a safe and enjoyable Memorial Day weekend. This is Dr. Farmer here. I wanted to just take a little bit of time just to kind of chat with everyone. You know, I realized that it's been a while since I've really done any postings talking about COVID, talking about the vaccine. And part of it is, if you follow my wife on Flourish with Dolores, please check her out. You will see that I've been doing a lot of things around the house, working on the windows, working on the dishwasher, building furniture for the outside, a whole bunch of stuff. Then balancing that with my clinical responsibilities, I just really haven't had the time to sit down and just, have a chat. But I wanted to take this time because there's been a lot of news out, a lot of encouraging things when it comes to COVID, and I wanted to also take the time to talk a little bit about that, but then also for those people that are maybe still a little bit on the fence in regards to the vaccine, kind of talk about what are some of the common reasons that I hear people say that are still hesitant about it, and hopefully make them feel a little bit more comfortable, about making the decision to get vaccinated. So first, just to give an update on myself. So, as everyone knows, I got the vaccine in December. I was one of the first people in the state of New Jersey to get the vaccine. And since then, I honestly say I've been, so happy to be able to get back to doing a lot of the things that I used to do before the pandemic started. With my wife, Dolores, who's also vaccinated, we've been able to go on some vacations, we've been able to go indoor dining, which has been great, and we've been able to reconnect with a lot of our friends and our families that we haven't seen, some in almost close to a year. We just hosted my family over. My grandmother finally had a chance to come over and see our house, which is special, and we were just able to have a safe but also an enjoyable time. And that's my hope for you guys, especially going to this Memorial Day weekend. If you're fully vaccinated, I definitely encourage you to gather with your vaccinated friends, have a cookout, go to the beach, do whatever it is that you do to have a good time. And I would definitely encourage everyone, drop a comment below on what you've been up to since you've been vaccinated, and hopefully give me some ideas of things that I can do going into the summer. And I want to transition a little bit and talk about what are some of the common reasons I'm hearing people say that, haven't made that decision yet. What are the reasons that they're still a little bit hesitant? And so we'll get to that. And I don't want anyone to feel bad or feel some sort of way that they still haven't got it yet because they have concerns, because their concerns are valid. But I think it's important that we have a conversation, that you hear the facts from a medical provider. So probably one of the most common, or maybe second most common reasons I hear is specifically from women is in terms of fertility. How does the COVID vaccine affect fertility? And for me on a personal note, definitely something I hear because a lot of our friends around the same age range as us, and they're starting to think about having a family. And especially for those women who have medical problems that affect their fertility, that's also a very valid concern as well. Like, they don't want to do or use anything that could potentially put that in further jeopardy, right? But that being said, let me just start off by saying there is no evidence whatsoever that the vaccine causes fertility issues. The CDC, the FDA, they're continuing to look at this as more and more people have been vaccinated, and they're just not seeing that. It's just not happening. There, in fact, are plenty of women who are either actively trying to conceive or who actively are pregnant that get the vaccine and have absolutely no problems whatsoever with their pregnancy or with their child when they're born. And I think we need to take a little step back and figure out, well, wait a minute, where did this thought actually come from? Because in actuality, there really has not been any evidence that vaccines in general cause fertility issues. In the history of vaccines, out of all of them, there's no documentation that they cause any issues with fertility. So where did all this come from? So basically this came from a theory that someone basically thought of. And to kind of talk, I'm going to throw out a couple terms related to the vaccine. If you want a little more of a detailed explanation, check out one of my other videos where I kind of go a little more into depth about how the vaccine works. But that being said, when the vaccine is introduced into the body and creates a spike protein through mRNA, which we've discussed before, our immune system recognizes that spike protein and basically creates an immune response so that if they encounter the spike protein that can be found on the COVID-19 virus, that your immune system will respond accordingly, right? basically the theory that someone threw out there was that spike protein, there's another protein that's a little similar to it that can be found in the placenta. So their theory was that our immune system will not be able to recognize that that's not the that's not the protein that they should attack, and instead our immune system will suddenly start attacking the placenta. All of that was a theory that someone put out there, and then it blew up on social media, and it created a lot of different concerns and fears for everyone. It wasn't backed up by science. Scientifically, it really doesn't even make sense. And there were no studies that were done to actually prove that this is exactly what's happening. What we have seen is that we're not seeing any fertility issues whatsoever. But I can tell you the studies that we are seeing that women who actually are pregnant and contract COVID are doing worse than women who are pregnant and that are vaccinated. And, you know, I think you have to kind of look at the risks and the benefits, and that's how you make any type of decision. Is it really worth not getting the vaccine, and while you're trying to conceive and become pregnant, potentially contract COVID and having a very bad outcome, and not just for you, but also for your child as well? Because what we have seen is that with pregnant women who contract COVID, they are at risk for miscarriages, at risk for stillbirths, at an even higher risk, and pregnant women are already at a high risk for blood clots, but even higher if you contract COVID, and blood clots are deadly. And so, I mean, those things are like really, really concerning. So I think you really have to kind of think about, like, is it really worth it to chance that, you know, if I don't have the vaccine, I'm not protected against COVID, I could have a very, very bad outcome. And just to give you some examples, you know, we're seeing women who had COVID while they were pregnant, and it was so bad that we had to put them on a breathing machine. So they're on a breathing machine, they're sedated, and then we had to do a C-section for these patients in order to, you know, improve their respiratory status and also potentially improve the baby's outcome as well. I mean, can you imagine that, being pregnant and being sedated and being on a breathing machine, and you don't even get the chance to experience, you know, the birth of your child? Like, stories like that really make me, you know, sad. And, you know, I just don't want to see, you know, women that have these concerns potentially put themselves at risk out of fear. So, you know, that being said, you know, I really hope that what I've said helps kind of explain where that thought process actually comes from, and also that just has not been proven. Out of the hundreds of millions of people that have been vaccinated, we're not seeing that. And if you have further questions, please talk to your GYN doctor. You shouldn't be making these decisions only based upon what you read on social media. You need to talk to a medical provider so that you can get the best and most accurate information, so that you can make a decision that's going to be beneficial for you and your family.